let's talk about spoken transitions that happen after the sermon. The stakes feel higher, right? We've really shifted the room because we've listened to a sermon. It's moved our heads, it's moved our hearts. And then if you're following it with a song, like a lot of worship services do, you are going to want to steward that really, really well. But what you don't need to do is restate the sermon or to summarize the sermon. Everybody was just there. They've heard it, they know it, they've gotten it in their hearts and minds, and they're ready to respond. And so how do you lead them into that response? Now, sometimes it just needs a really simple musical transition. You put on a pad, you let there be some space, and then you start the next song because the pastor, the preacher has landed in a place that set up the next song. That is great. Thank you to that person. But sometimes you don't know ahead of time where they're going to land, and they've landed in a certain place, and you know intentionally that the next song still works perfectly, but you still need that transition. So what I do is I think about, what is my response to God in this moment? I just heard this sermon. What do I want my response to be? And then I model that response through some words. It could be a prayer. It could be speaking to set up the next song. Or secondly, I think about what I want my worshipers' response to be. They just heard this powerful message about going into the world, missionally minded and serving, and we're about to sing the song that's about that. So I want them to be cognizant. I want them to be aware that as we sing this next song, whatever's going on in their hearts and minds about being called into the world is okay and wonderful and great, and let the Spirit speak to them as we sing this song together. So it needs to be intentional. It doesn't need to be long, doesn't need to be a restatement of the sermon. And it can be simple, just starting the song after a short little pad or a few chords, or it needs to be spoken. Best way to do this is to connect with whoever is giving the message and then say, hey, do you know where you're going to land? They may not know. They may say, I'm just going to really feel the room. But if they know where they're going to land, it's going to give you a chance to kind of jot some notes down, to write out some talking points, and then to lead people beautifully into that next song. This is a transition that I did after a sermon that was about forgiveness. Again, it's written down. I'm going to read it right from my notes, but I'm going to memorize it as I go and carry it to the people. So I say, some of us are carrying heavy stories that were just named in that message. This next song is a simple way to come to God honestly with all of that, and to trust that grace is really for us. As we sing, you're invited to bring that story, that relationship, that wound into the presence of God. I love during these, by the way, to have a pad going, whether it's from the Prime app or another app, or to have your keyboardist do something or your guitarist do something, but just to have a pad under that. And you don't always need that, but I love a little musical underscore. So that is an example of you modeling a response to the sermon instead of giving another sermon. If this was helpful to you, please become a subscriber. I'd love to share more ideas with you as we travel together through worship leading. So thanks so much for spending this time together, and watch out for some new ideas that you can use this Sunday.